Tomorrow, students at Parkland High School are returning to school for the first time, 2 weeks after a school shooting took 17 lives. And now the debate rages on over gun control, around the clock and background checks and arming teachers. But almost forgotten in all of this, a proposed measure to allow more people to arm themselves in places of worship. And the issue has reached the State House in Annapolis. ABC 2 News' Jeff Hager has more on mixing religion with revolvers.
At times, it seems the pain of each mass shooting can push previous ones into the recess of our collective minds. But the deaths of 26 people at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, back in November, raised the prospect of letting places of worship here in Maryland better arm themselves against an active shooter. It pales in comparison to the deadliest church shooting in U.S. history, but an armed robbery of an entire congregation here at the Mount Zion Church in Bel Air more than a decade ago exposed it as an easy target.
Looking at this man, all of a sudden I realized this is real. Told everyone to move to the front of the church, picked the purses and wallets up, and left.
The mass shootings that followed at the Emmanuel AME Church in South Carolina and at the Baptist Church in Texas have convinced many that locking their doors is simply not enough.
Those parishioners there were not well prepared, to handle a situation such as that. And so since then, I've reached out to the county sheriff's office to see if I can secure some aid on how to best prepare our church.
With more than 300 places of worship and less than 24 deputies on duty at any given time, Harford County Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor could offer no guarantee his department could protect them.
I don't care how many police officers you have in your police department, you're not going to be in a position to do that.
The sheriff sought help from Harford County's lawmakers in Annapolis, a proposed bill that would allow pastors to designate members of their congregations to transport and carry concealed weapons.
I think it has an uphill battle to pass, but I think a lot of the feedback has been very good. And in fact, giving the ability, it's an enabling piece of legislation that just gives the ability for the church congregations to make these decisions as business owners have in our state.
While the idea of putting guns in the pews may seem drastic to critics, the bill's primary sponsor, Delegate Kathy Schlega, says it's already happening for those who count police officers among their parishioners.
Current law enforcement, they're able to carry their firearm anywhere. In my particular church, we have a couple of men in law enforcement that are part of our security team. But not every church, especially our smaller ones, have that ability.
And many cannot afford to hire private security guards. It's argued allowing lawful, trained, law-abiding members to conceal and carry guns with a pastor's written permission may be the only alternative to legally fight fire with fire.
This is a very popular bill and idea amongst our rural counties. So I have a lot of rural legislators because we don't have law enforcement within a couple minutes. Many of our counties, it could be 15 or 20 minutes before someone could physically reach one of our places of worship.
Time which could mean everything once a gunman opens fire like at this business in Edgewood back in October.
That individual, within a matter of a few minutes, our response time, I think, to Advanced Granite Solutions was 3 or 4 minutes. He did the harm he intended to do and had fled the area.
It is a fact not lost upon Pastor Berg, who must sacrifice his open-door policy by locking entrances once worship services begin, and now considers arming select members of his congregation against those with evil intent.
The Bible says that one of the commandments is thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not kill, and I think this is a way to be engaged in preventing potential murder to take place.
Proponents say the bill is scheduled to come up in a hearing of the House Judiciary next week, and they're prepared to offer an amendment to limit this to a pilot program in Harford County if lawmakers appear hesitant to allow it in churches statewide.